Next we have Maureen Guard, who's a Marine Corps veteran who was sexually assaulted by a fellow Marine while serving on active duty. Since honorably leaving duty, Maureen has started running races across the East Coast to raise awareness of military sexual trauma. Please donate to her 2013 Marine Corps Marathon goal of $26,000 for RAIN and their Department of Defense helpline after her speech.
Thank you guys for sticking around. I know it's hot out there. So first, before I get started with what I have written, I just want everyone to know I'm not anti-military at all. It was very hard. I sat there for 2 hours with this uniform. This is my uniform when I was serving. It took me 2 hours to finally get up the courage to actually write on this. All right? So by no means am I anti-military, anti-government when I'm telling you all this information. For all the spectators out there that aren't here for Slut Walk specifically, I want you to come forward. I know we might look a little scary, but I'm about to share the government's dirty little secret with you, and that's me. My name is Maureen Guard. The first time I spoke at Slut Walk San Diego last year in 2011, I didn't use my real name. But today I want everyone to know who I am. I'm a student of Quinnipiac University. I'm a proud Chicago native. I'm a marathon runner in training, and I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I never would have thought going into the Marines in 2006. I'm talking about you guys right now, just so you know. I never thought going into the Marine Corps in 2006 that I would be adding sexual assault survivor to that list of things that make me who I am. Exactly 5 years to the statement that started this whole movement was said, I left home to become a United States Marine. I was 17 at the time. After completing boot camp and combat training, I moved on to the Navy School of Music in Norfolk, Virginia. This is where I received specialized training in my job before being stationed at my permanent place of duty. In the short 5 months I had been enlisted, I felt a strong family bond with the other Marines I served with. We spent a lot of time together and depended on each other in big and small ways. 2 months before I graduated my school, I was sexually assaulted by a Marine I considered a brother, like I consider most of the male Marines that I worked with. He was a fellow classmate of mine and also held a leadership position within my platoon. I told no one what happened to me. Like so many female service members who don't report their cases of sexual violence against them, I was ashamed of what had happened and was more worried about losing the respect I had among my fellow Marines. It took 2 days after my assault for me to tell anyone. The first being my now ex-husband, who immediately blamed me for the crime against me.
Like him!
He asked me, how could you let that happen? The same day, I went to the proper individuals in my command for help. I told them I wanted to press charges, and later came to find that a female sailor was also pressing charges against the same individual. I spoke with an NCIS investigator who, after hearing my story, told me that I would have to take a lie detector test to be sure I wasn't filing falsely.
That's illegal!
My command offered virtually no support. I was forced to leave my regular classes to study and test separately from my peers. I was forced to deal with seeing my assaulter on a regular basis around my school building. I was forced to spend most of my days locked in my barracks room with no one to turn to for support. Several weeks later, my attacker was finally removed from classes, and his training was halted when he was found speaking to others about my case. Despite the difficulties, I continued my training, and I graduated on time with my class, leaving for San Diego on Thanksgiving 2006. A few months after reporting to my new unit, I was faced with the devastating news. My NCIS investigator had mishandled my paperwork.
Oh, God.
Which meant that there was no case.
Bullshit!
My assaulter was going to walk free and join the fleet with nothing on his record. And by the way, the unit in Virginia didn't care to even tell me this. We had to play telephone tag. They were going to try to slip him under the radar without me knowing. A few days after receiving the news, I was told that 3 other female Marines came forward with naked photos, crude texts, and claims of other unwanted sexual advances by the same individual. He was administratively separated from the Marine Corps. No dishonorable discharge. This will not appear on his military record. This will not appear on his civilian record.
That's bullshit.
Now, a proud female veteran, I use my spare time to run in local races and mud runs to try to raise money for RAIN and their DoD helpline. The only helpline I have found in the past years that offers the support and resources needed for survivors of military sexual trauma. I'm actually running in the Spartan race tomorrow up in Boston. And I'll be doing that with a 20-pound Alice cap on my back as well. In the time that I've spent running, training, and sharing my story with others, it has shocked me how many others not only share my story of assault, but my story of injustice. I've had current military members tell me, what are you doing this for? It's not necessary. We have programs for that stuff. I'm telling you right now, they're the same programs that were in place when I was in, and they're not doing shit. As much as the military says they want to encourage military members to report sexual assault, whether it's restricted, where no criminal charges are filed, or unrestricted, where they are filed, they still send mixed messages and blaming the victim. On the Marine Corps Community Service Frequently Asked Questions page about sexual assault, they answer the question, how do I handle the reactions and criticism of others when they learn about my sexual assault? Their answer, you were sexually assaulted against your will, even if you may not be happy with some of your choices. This has been up there for God knows how long, probably a good 5 years. I've contacted the website and they have not responded back to me as to why this particular wording is up there and why it's not coming down. Nowhere on the page does it simply say it's not your fault. All of this extends into the world of veterans as well. 25% of the homeless are military veterans. Over 70% of those are thought to be suffering from military sexual trauma. When filing with the VA for health issues stemming from sexual attack, veterans must supply evidence. This is nearly impossible when sexual harassment paperwork is kept no longer than 2 or 3 years before being destroyed. This means that the service member can be assaulted early in their career and lose that paperwork before they even finish their full term of service. Why are these reports destroyed after such a short period of time? The military tells us it's due to storage limitations and evidence viability. Remember that mishandled paperwork for my case? It no longer exists. According to the military, I was never sexually assaulted. 2/3 of those who are lucky enough to find their original paperwork and file with the VA for post-traumatic stress disorder stemming from their sexual trauma are still denied. There is no support in the military. There is no support out of the military. A few months ago, I attended a screening of the groundbreaking new documentary, The Invisible War, which if you haven't seen it, you need to see it. This movie allows audience to listen to several different stories of MST from both men and women in several different branches of the service and see firsthand the lack of support that even the VA offers us. At this screening, a woman asked, why is President Obama not doing anything about this? The simple answer is this, America is not telling him to. When Don't Ask, Don't Tell was at its peak, I was signing at least 1 or 2 petitions to end it every week. I've signed 1 petition to help MST survivors. The people who write the laws are all right here, right now. Listening to people like Congresswoman Jackie Spear share story after story of MST, every time it falls on deaf ears because the people are not telling their representatives to pay the fuck attention. They're not telling them that they want change. But I know all of you here care. I know that all of you see the injustice of this. I know that all of you know better than to tell a military member the possibility of being raped is part of your job. Get over it. That's what they're telling us. But right now, that is exactly what the government's saying. So, SlutwalkDC, let me hear you. Let them hear you. Let them hear you scream and shout and tell them that you're going to protect your defenders.